Now, I named this program as Future Skills because this is a very, very important thing which is going to prevail in our coming days. A lot of people think like, the market is dull. I don't know what's going to happen, future, no idea what's going to happen. But I think before we go ahead, we need to understand, before we go ahead to future skills, let us understand some of the realities of the market, okay? Moving on. Uh, if you look carefully, you can see, just one moment, okay? Let me move with this. My name is Mohammed Aiken, and this is my first slide. If you look carefully, and before I proceed with my PPT, I really want to explain you one more thing, and that one more thing is I'll be going ahead with this session, and after that, let's for another 15-20 minutes, we'll have a little doubt clearing session if you really want it. Okay, I have almost like few slides, so let me go with this. So my first slide starts with something called being someone or becoming someone. If you look carefully, you can see, you go to any supermarket, you can see, like, you buy any product, you have something called a barcode. So you have a barcode, you swipe the barcode, and the moment you swipe the barcode, you'll get the amount which has to be paid. So being someone or becoming someone is going to be the tagline for the future. Right now, if you're doing MBA or if you have decided to do MBA, understand one thing: every single thing that you do in this MBA is like one barcode for your identity. Future, what you're going to become totally depends on what bars which you're going to add in your profile. So what I named this is like, being someone or becoming someone. Now, this is a beautiful quote which I love, because if you are somebody right now, you have to become someone in the future, then only you will be accepted for the future, because future requires somebody else. Like, there is an old saying, where people say, okay, you go to school, study well, get some good scores and get a job. That is how the life moved. But now it is little different, because you have to become somebody, then only you can proceed in your life. Okay, I'm moving on with my next slide. I wish all of you to read this very carefully. And this is a famous quote said by John C. Maxwell. John C. Maxwell is basically a leadership coach. And he said very truly, like, life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. Life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. The meaning is, you have one life, and whatever choices you're going to make is going to make you as a better person. That's what it says. So when you're making a choice, it has to be super strong and super careful. Then only you can develop yourself. Okay. Now moving ahead with the choices, if you look carefully on the screen, you can see a lot of different people. A lot of different people. You can see people riding auto rickshaws. You can see people driving a kind of, running a small shop. Some people become, like delivery boys. Some people become receptionists. Some go for teaching field. Some even do, like, after MBA, I've seen people even trying to do what do you call, all our drivers. They really want to become. Some people become engineering people. So you have many choices. No offense, okay? What I was trying to say is, whatever you're trying to do in your life has to be decided by you. And your choice is one thing which will make you end up in something. Either you become an engineer, sorry, what do you call, the teacher, or you can become a cashier in some other company, or you can become a kind of a clerical person. It totally depends on you. But remember one thing: the more you start developing yourself, the more opportunities you start getting on it. Okay. So moving ahead, I wish to tell you my story, how I landed in this level. Today, I'm a kind of renowned personality in the field of training, because not because the kind of thing which I've done, but because the way I moved into this sector. So moving on, this is my story. I came from this beautiful island called Lakshadweep, Minicoy, where people don't speak Malayalam. So my story has to be understood so that you understand better how I reached this level. So I was leading a normal life. We had two schools. So in these two schools we study, and after that we don't have degree colleges. So I had to come to Kerala to do my degree. That's how I landed up in Kerala. So my first phase of my life was very normal, and I was not knowing what is happening in this world. So from 10-kilometer area, I came to this beautiful land called Kerala. Then I did my studies with the same horizontal way of thinking. This century, 2020 onwards, We have to change in vertical thinking. Now, I was thinking the same way, go to school, study well, get a good job, settle down. So I did my education. Then after that, I was looking for a job. Unfortunately, I was looking for a job inside Kerala, and that was the time when all this recession and everything started. So I was not getting it. So I decided to go to Chennai because I know little Tamil. So I thought I'll go to Chennai. Angane, when I went to Chennai, I faced many interviews and I failed a lot. Then I understood English is a very essential thing when you want to face interviews. My biggest mistake was during my degree days, I never ever tried to develop my language. That was my biggest mistake. So here comes a phase two where I slowly understand, okay, now there is a field where, I really want to explore myself. I worked with this company called Enhancement Technology for three plus years, and I understood I'm good at talking to people. My interpersonal skill is high so that I can develop myself. So my story, my second phase of the story happens when I started exploring the field of training. In the sense, I love HR training. So this is where I moved in. My first degree in BSc chemistry. Next, I'm a kind of a management, advanced diploma holder in management from Bangalore University. So I went to this management sector because I love talking to people. Working with a company which is an MNC, multinational corporation, I understood if you want to stick with any field, you have to bring that skills out. So what are the skills which I'm going to talk to you? You'll understand in the coming day, coming slides. Okay. Phase two, I started understanding and slowly I started building my image. Image building, or you can say personal branding, is very important thing for the future, which I'll be discussing in the coming slides. Okay. My phase three started during the lockdown. March 13th, I'm getting a message from the government of Kerala saying no college. I was in the middle of a class and we're getting a message in the mobile saying all the colleges should be shut down from March 13 or March 15 onwards. We closed this for 10 days or 15 days, and I have no idea what to do because till that time I never ever put my details on internet. I was a common guy. I go to colleges, I take the classes, so I was a normal guy. Then I realized, oh my goodness, colleges are going to be closed, universities are going to be closed. So how am I going to do it? So that was the biggest problem. Then I realized that the new way to proceed in life has to be in the online platform. That means your internet platform. And this is a market which is not going to sleep 24 bar 7, 24 into 7. This market is alive. So if you want to explore in this market, you should know how to brand yourself as well. Now, moving ahead, since my topic is on future skills, I slowly enter the topic, okay? Now, I'll tell you, these are the kind of programs that I do now. This is a program for the speakers, which I do, which is an online mode, okay? Now, moving ahead, my next thing is this. Remember, my dear sisters and brothers, the process is more important than the product. Whatever you're going to do, the process changes you to be a different person. You're doing MBA. By merely getting a certificate or merely getting a score from the university will not make you a real MBA person. You have to change your process in what you do. You have to change, you have to make changes, okay? So we say to make a candle, it is easier. To make a bulb, it is a little difficult. But the two processes are different. Now you have to undergo a series of processes in this so that you become a better personality, especially to hit the future market. Okay, whatever I'm going to talk is basically on the future market targeting so that you understand how the market is going to go. Now let's move on. As I said, these are the kind of programs which I do right now online. Okay, I have a program called Interact, where I help my students to what do you call make them talk and interact. I have a series of body language. Now you must be thinking, sir, are those all these things on marketing? No, I'm telling you, someday as an MBA student, you should also brand yourself so that you go ahead with the new programs which you do for the corporates as well as other people. Okay. I have a ladies program which is called the Young Women's Interact, where every Friday we conduct it, and we have we have a session on telemarketing. I conduct 3 days course basically on that. So we have English training. So a lot of things are happening because I understood this is one way where which can help you to move ahead in the future. Okay. Now let's move on to the next level. Branding. Look at this carefully, okay, my dear sisters and brothers. If you are a first year student, from the first day of your class as well as the last day of your year in second year theory, the last day, every single day you have to develop yourself as a brand. You understand? Now, Muhammad Aikan has become a brand because I realized that I have developed myself as a brand. I want you to find out what is that ideal thing which is in you. You have to have your own logo. You have developed your own slogans. You have developed your own identity because From here onwards, the world is going to move vertical. Vertical means you must know, like sometimes when we take HR as our skill, or maybe like marketing as our elective subject, we always look for a job in marketing sector or HR sector. Today it's different, okay? Today in the industry, right now what is happening is they need people who can do multiple things. Like, we call this cross pollination. In cross pollination technique, what happens is a person who has studied marketing may be put into HR sector. So you should know something about HR as well. A person who is good in like finance may be put into marketing sector. So this is how the world is going to go. So my personal suggestion is during your course in MBA, and with God's grace, I will be staying with you people for the long run. Okay, maybe for 3 years I'm here anyway. I can help you people if you need any doubts. So what happens is basically you have to develop, you have to take series of certifications or courses which can help you to move ahead slowly into any sector. So that has to be your way of moving in. So you need to have a tagline. You should have at least a web page or maybe a page of your own which says that okay, you are doing something. Now let's move on to the next one, okay, where you'll understand better. The first rule of future, the first rule for the future is to find out the uniqueness of you. Now, suppose there's a person called Monish. Suppose there's a person called Ansia. Suppose there's a person called Siat. Suppose there's a person called Priyanka. You have to find out what is the unique thing in you. Then you have developed it. Now, if you look at this picture, you'll understand. What I'm right now telling you is about the future, okay? You look at all these things, you can understand. You can see black umbrellas, but in the middle of the black umbrella, you can see a colored umbrella. And that colored umbrella is the person who is going to be the focus of the entire people. So we say like you need to find a niche. A niche is something like a personal, unique area where you start developing it, and slowly you make a brand out of it. Okay. Now, moving ahead, these are the 5 points which I want all of you to note down if you have a piece of paper with you. The way for future. The way for future starts with 5 things. Number 1 is the education and approvals. What course have you done? If you're doing MBA and that MBA has to be relevant enough that highlights, along with the MBA, what are the additional courses that you have done? So I recommend you to take additional courses online which can help you to move ahead, which are the entry tickets. Okay, take it from me. These are the entry tickets for you into any job market. So during your MBA, you are supposed to take up a couple of courses along with the MBA, which I'll explain in the coming slides. Okay. Along with MBA, you're supposed to take some courses which will help you to overcome and develop yourself. That is the first thing. The second thing is called the social proof, or we call the social visibility. Now, what do you mean by social visibility? Social visibility is like, we all use Instagram, we use what you call Facebook, we use many things. But the question is, let us take the case of a girl like Priyanka. Now, I don't know seriously, Priyanka's visibility, I really don't know. The question is like, how visible are you in the professional line? You must have heard of something called LinkedIn. I know that you must have heard of something called LinkedIn. If you have heard of LinkedIn, you can give me a thumb on the screen, if you have heard of LinkedIn. Yeah, there is a website called LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn എന്താണ് മിക്കവാറും ആൾക്കാർക്ക് അറിയത്തില്ല. All they do is they make a profile and put it across. But that is not how the LinkedIn works. I will explain you how the LinkedIn algorithm works today so that you understand better. Okay. Social proof means visibility of this particular person has to be in the social. It can be a YouTube channel, it can be a website, it can be anything. So your visibility is the second most important thing which you have to build during your MBA course, not after the MBA course. During your MBA course, you have to start off. Maybe a web page, maybe at least a Facebook page where you put what are the things you are doing in relevant to the industry. Now the next thing is called finding a niche. As I told you earlier, you need to find out a niche or maybe a unique area where you are going to specialize in. See, for example, my area is soft skills. In soft skills, I know I'm good at 2 things. Number 1 is called professional presentation skills. That is one area which I'm really confident about. So what I do is I start improvising on professional presentation skills. My second area is called interview skills and group discussion, GD, where I help my students to overcome the problems they face during GDs. I make them talk, I make them interactive. So you must have seen the name of my programs are Interact, because I make people interact. I hate to talk like this, okay? It's a one-way talk, but I love to talk to people, so I make you more interactive. Maybe next time we can think about it. The next is called reciprocation. Reciprocation is like, what you have given to the system. Like, suppose there are a lot of people who do a lot of programs which is free of cost. So you need to do something to the society back so that your popularity happens there. Maybe you must have heard of something called the Management Fest. So you can go and participate into it, and you are basically putting yourself in the different ventures. Now, I heard like the future marketing, what you call the Management Fest, can happen even on online. So that's what people are saying. So you have to be good enough to participate in that. Participation is another most important thing which is required for the future. Keep in mind. And the last thing is called likability. And what do you mean by likability? Now, let me explain you. You must be thinking, see, I'm taking a class. Now, if I want, I would have come in a t-shirt, t-shirt and Tone Ridilnik Varaman. But why did I come like this? I'm with my blazer. I'm wearing a professional shirt and kind of, everything said, well-groomed hair. Why? Because rule number one is you should be a person who is likable to others. The way you sit, the way you talk, the way you behave, the way you dress up, everything speaks about your dress code as well as your likability. So these are the five things you have to develop during an MBA course. And along with this MBA course, you need to develop a couple of other things as well. So these are five things. One is education and approval. That means along with your MBA, you can take certifications. Next is social visibility. Develop a page in Instagram or maybe in what you call WhatsApp. I'm sorry, in Facebook of your own professional aspect. Or maybe you can start a blog also if you really want, because it's a free thing. Find a niche, reciprocate, and start becoming a likable person. So this is how it's going to move. Now, moving ahead with the next thing, and that next thing is called rebranding yourself. You should invest yourself on developing your aspect. Look at the beauty of lockdown. I take session for big universities, okay? And when I have a chat, when I have a talk with my students, they say, sir, lockdown really helped us to understand what is the future requirement. Then they slowly started rebranding themselves. Rebranding means like, you start developing your own personal brand. It's like you become a product now. For the future, 2 years course is going to be a product. You are designing, you have to design yourself as a product for the future. That's what I would like to say. So moving on, this is a thing which I want all of you to draw if possible. Let me go ahead and unlock all those points. Please write down as soon as possible, okay? And once you are done, I will explain you this. Munish, is my voice audible?
Yes, sir. What do you want?
Is it fast or it's okay?
Okay, just
It's okay.
it's
All right.
okay.
Thank you so much. That's okay. All right. Now let me move on to this particular thing called the personal aspect of this is the map. This is a roadmap for each and every person who is doing MBA or maybe who are going to MBA, whoever it is. This is the most important map which I really want to explain to you. The future requires a roadmap to move on. You as a person, you have developed in two areas, as I said. Area number one is called your aptitude. Aptitude means the talent or the ability in one particular sector. If you're good at marketing, you need to look at marketing as your aptitude. That means you should know A to Z about that. Now, the second half is called the personality of it. You have developed yourself in two areas. One is called your aptitude area, another one is called your personality area. Now let's look at the aptitude area first of all. In aptitude area, you have two things which you have to focus on for the future. Let me tell you once again, you need to focus on two things related to your aptitude means your ability on particular area. That is called knowledge. How good is your knowledge level? Knowledge does not mean like simply you get a certificate. No, you should know exactly. You must have heard of something called AI, artificial intelligence, or maybe something called ML, machine learning. Am I correct? So these are the things which are going to come in the future. So what are the kind of changes which is going to happen in an industry which you're going to move in, especially job industry, maybe like business industries, wherever you're planning to go? What are the kind of changes which the company expects to make a change in? Like, for example, I can tell you must have heard of robots taking over the job in industrial thing, especially like manufacturing sector. So you must know something related to that area so that you have to be updated. So keep your knowledge level updated. Now, what is like digital marketing? You have to keep yourself updated on that. So knowledge part, always keep yourself upgrading and updating so that you move ahead and you develop a value in the system. Next is called skills. Now, my dear sisters and brothers, skills are of two types. One is called soft skills, another one is called hard skills or technical skills. There are two types of skills which we have developed during this course. One is called soft skill, another one is called technical skill. The two main differences in the technical skill and soft skill is during technical skill, what we do is we learn the basic aspects of the usage, or maybe like, for example, I can tell you, you go to a bank, you will find two type of people. The first category are the people who are like accountants, they're busy doing something. You must have noticed somebody who is sitting inside that, cashier's counter. The person may not talk too much, but is really technically sound in typing things. Am I correct? The second person in certain banks, you can see somebody sitting behind a board, and the board says, "How may I help you?" This is a person who may not require too much of technical skills, but should have the ability to speak and explain. Okay, this is how we give the service. So we call this kind of customer service, whatever. So when you give a service, you need to talk more. So that is a skill which is required by the people for that particular job. So understand every job requires two type of skills. One is called technical skill and administration work. You must be knowing people are using softwares now. Now there's a software called ERP, enterprise resource planning. This is used in technical areas. So you need to know something about what is ERP, what is SAP, system applications and products. These are the kind of things which are going to come into technical side. So be aware about the kind of technical knowledge which you have developed for the sector. That is the most important thing for the technical skill part. Next is called soft skills. In soft skills, I will explain you what are the basic skills required. Now, when you have these two things, your skill and your knowledge together, you become a valuable person for the market. You become as strong as any other person in the internet, because today the opportunities are so much available in the internet, but the only thing is they are going to check whether you are a valuable person or not. What value can you bring to my company? That is the first question. Okay. Now, this is one half of your learning. Let us talk about the next half of it, and that is called personality. Now, you can see a line going from you to the personality. I want you to do me a small favor. There's a line, there's an arrow going from you down to the personality. On that, near that arrow, please write down GD and HR interview. GD and HR interview. You will on the personality pona our arrow and side edikolu GD and HR interview. Now see, technical is like written test. You may get written test based on that. You will be able to handle it. Now, when it comes to GD and personality, GD and HR interview, it is not connected to technical side. It's absolutely related to your personality part of it. Now, for example, there are people who are very silent. There are people who become very violent, within no time. There are people who even talk. There are people who are like, very shy. So all these things reflect to the industry which you are going to work. Now, suppose if I'm going to recruit some people for my company, I will be expecting them to be really dynamic in their behavior, the personality, the way they dress, everything has to be good. So based on that only, I'll be recruiting them. I hope you understand. Now let's come to the next point, and that is called attitude. Personality speaks about your attitude. Now, you must have known, sometimes you like some teachers, sometimes you don't like some teachers. Sometimes you like some friends, sometimes you don't like some friends. The problem is with their personality, because what the personality speaks is what is reflecting on them. If the personality of the person is good, that will show the person's attitude. And again, these two things are connected. So please understand that. Your attitude speaks about your personality, and your personality determines your attitude. So these two things are connected. Sometimes if you like somebody, you'll say, "Oh yeah, that person is really nice. I like him so much." Why? Because the personality is good. So what you show outside is your personality, and what reflects in your personality is your attitude. When you combine all these things, you become a personal brand, which is going to be reflected in the future market. So what I'm trying to say is you have developed certain skills as well as your personality to become a part of the future journey. Hope you understand. Yes, I'm moving on. This is my next, not even 30 minutes, okay? I'll take 20 minutes maximum for this. If you think in the old way, you will reach nowhere, okay? Start thinking from the new way. You need new skills, and remember the same old thinking will only give you the same old results. The same old thinking will give you the same old results. Now, when I started taking the class on Zoom platform, I never knew that I can change my background. Slowly I started learning technical things. Am I correct? Now, if you are using Zoom, if you're using a laptop, you can even change your background. So that is something which I learned after coming here. So the same old thinking I changed. I thought I'll make something different so that the same old results should not come. Remember, you only have one chance, and one chance has to be more than enough to make a change. Remember, change is a very important thing. And third, below that you can see AI. Now, let us go about some realities of the future. Please give a very, very important look. This is my most important area which I'm going to speak. Very important look on the screen which I'm showing right now. There are 4 to 5 areas, exclude 6 areas. Some areas looks very technical, some areas looks very kind of little managerial part. All these areas will require management students. Always understand. The most important area which is going to grow in the future is one of the areas called the user interface as well as user experiences in the software aspect. If you are good enough in developing a software, if you are good enough something like in software area, or you feel like you are good in designing, you can always think of something like that. Now let's keep that part a little technical, okay? Come to the next half, you can see something called digital marketing. This is one thing which I highly recommend every single student who is doing MBA. Understand what is digital marketing, because the future relies on a sector called digital marketing where the marketings are going to be totally in digital form. That will include social media, strategy building, brand building, SEO, content, context, and like we have trends. There are many things. So what I was trying to say is like you can focus on any one of these things. You can focus on any one of these things and start developing your own niche. Now, suppose there is something called SEO, yeah, search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is like how you develop, how you study about a search engine where you help a company to put the right words, keywords. A keywords based on the people search when they search about the company, that company comes first. There's something called branding, something called content building. If you're good at content writing, you can think of that. So these are the few sectors in digital marketing where you can expertise yourself so that you can develop it. Okay. Moving down, you can see 16 business intelligence icons. Now, if I say 16 business, what do you call intelligence icon, I'm going to zoom it. Okay, I really don't know whether I can zoom it. Let me see. No. Okay, it's not zooming. I'll do one thing. I'll send you this half PPT so that you can understand. I'll send you a PDF of this one so you understand better. Future, every business will require some sort of technology into it. There is something called machine learning. 2 days ago, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi sir, in his speech, said like, we are going to launch something on medical sector, which is called the medical ID. Trust me, 1 year ago, Indian government, like they never declared, okay, they thought of trying this with the help of AIMS in Lakshadweep, the same process, because Lakshadweep is a small place. So they really wanted to see like, whether we can implement everyone's data into one ID, and this one medical ID can be helpful for the future. So what happens is like normally when we go to a doctor, they'll write the history of the patient and everything in a piece of paper. Now what they do is they have a separate person who is going to type the things. You must have seen bigger hospitals. What they do is they enter the entire history of the person into one single number, and that becomes your medical ID. And you don't have to carry any file throughout India if you're going for any treatment. All you have to carry is this one number. So the moment they enter this one number, the hospital which are going for the treatment will know, okay, this person is having this issue, his background is like this, A to Z. The doctors will be well aware. You don't have to even explain that. That is the beauty of this. This is basically something on data visualization. So technical things. You may have to study along with your MBA. You may have to take up any one of these things which will help you, any other business to develop, like something called data visualization, machine learning, data science, maybe something like data discovery, big data management, data models. These are all new things, okay? And even I'm not aware of this particular thing called benchmarking. These are the new things which are coming into the market. So I will do one thing. I'll share this PDF with you people so that you can go through it. And Monish, I'll send this to you. You can hand over this to the people, okay? Their groups.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
All right, thank you. Now comes the next one, that is called the cloud. What do you call? We all store the things in cloud. You must have seen the storage happens in cloud sector now. So clouding, what we do is like, we have this virtual, what do you call, the servers. Maybe sometimes the servers are some other part of the country, they develop it. So I want you to study something on cloud computing so that you can understand this. Now you must be thinking, sir, am I doing MBA? What is the connection with this? Guys, as I told you, cross-pollination is going to happen in the future. You should know technical things as well. There is no escape. So please start focusing on something. At least you should know something about this sector so that you can develop. Next comes something called DevOps. DevOps are like, developing. You have developed, like we can develop apps. You must have heard of something called Byju's app. In Byju's app, what they did is they studied the entire system, and what they did, they built a software, they built an app. They had coding, they have plans, they have release, they have deploys, they have operating systems, and they are monitoring, and everything was happening. So they required some people for this aspect. But again, Byju's are also looking for some people who can market this thing in the market. And the final thing, which is going to be an opportunity for you people, is called cybersecurity. Along with an MBA, along with an MBA, if you are good enough in technical things, or maybe you want to do something on cybersecurity aspect, take a course, study ahead, because these are the